and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Mark Johnson, visionary co-founder and editorial board chair for the CDO Magazine. I'm also regional vice president and executive leader for strategic data management and analytics at Fusion Alliance, a Midwest regional digital transformation consulting firm here in the United States. Today, I have the great honor and privilege of interviewing Sara Willovit, associate director, product data governance at BD. Sara, welcome to the interview.
Mark, great being here. Thank you.
What would you say for an organization that percentage of the data landscape might be that could be considered critical?
I think it's different by domain. So I deal in product. We have, just to name a couple, there's about 300 plus attributes within the ERP. And I would say that usually about 80 within at least my product, 80 to 100 are CDEs. But if you look at something like customer vendor, then perhaps it's a smaller group because it's more directed on the, I would say that domain has other concerns, maybe privacy concerns, which I don't have on the product side, but the CDEs are probably less within those domains.
Gotcha. That's a smart way to look at it, I think. And it sounds like defining that landscape of CDEs is really important in order to constrain the amount of effort required across the organizational landscape to work on quality within those data elements. Is that what I hear you saying?
Absolutely. Again, I think the boiling of the ocean is something we want to avoid. And I would say involving the business in developing and fleshing those CDEs out is critical as well. So I really leverage my entire data community.
So I was thinking about this concept. I'd like to get your perspective on it. It's often difficult for the non-technical C-suite executive to really understand what this data governance or data quality or data stewardship process is all about, or even sometimes the role of the CDO within the organization. But governance is really a centerpiece in that table's being set. And I was thinking about, where is there sort of a parallel analogy that might be easy to consume? And it occurred to me that the CFO is really like a CDO, and all those sub-ledger managers that manage the receivables ledger, the payables ledger, the payroll ledger, et cetera, who do all that work every month to ensure the integrity of the consolidated financial data that flows into the financial reports, income statement, and balance sheet, and all the different tools that they use, really is a data integrity, data governance, data quality organization and exercise. Would you agree? Could you comment on that?
Absolutely. And that's why it was really interesting when I had moved from being a financial auditor to data governance. And this is going back over 15 years ago. I found that I was easily able to transport a lot of my skill set, being an auditor, to data governance. And at the time, many folks were coming into data management from more of an IT background, whereas I was coming from it from a business, specifically from my financial side of things.
Right.
And I like what you were saying also, because I see the financial reporting is almost the circulatory system of a business. At one point or another, everything will end up somehow in the books. Every kind of occurrence will end up in some sort of transaction. And if you think about the data as it flows through the system, it's almost like the circulatory as well.
Yeah, I love that analogy. Geez, we should publish about it, and I got to give you credit. So that's a great analogy. I love it. And when you think about it, for decades, the organization has applied data quality disciplines. They've had policy standards and procedures around financial data, the GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles, that have been there, the finance committee that oversees the financial integrity. All of that's about data integrity. And yet, when we look outside of the financial data set at customer data, at product data, at supplier data, it's lived for decades with quality issues and trustability issues, and persistent, because it hasn't had the same kind of rigor and discipline applied to its management that the finance data set has. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I think that's why it was really nice to kind of start within financial data governance. They get it. I came from also SOX compliance. So the idea of compliance and regulations is really built in to the entire financial reporting organization. And as you said, it's really taking that mindset, that culture into other groups. However, that's why I really start a governance program. As I mentioned, my specialty is really building it from the ground up. I typically start with data quality because other areas of data governance may not be something very tangible that people can relate to, but everyone relates to concerns around bad data. Everyone's had a situation where they've walked into a boardroom or a meeting and there was, well, where did you get your data? Well, I got this number from this. And so they get that. And it's something they can relate to. It's something you can measure. You could measure the improvement and you can show the business value very directly. And you can calculate almost and monetize the value of the data. So that's why I typically initiate a data governance program with a data quality pilot.
Yeah, I think that's really great. It leads me to my next question. Actually, it suggested the next question. What were some of the data quality challenges or opportunities that you found at BD, and how were you able to leverage those challenges to establish the foundation for value delivery through data governance? And it sounds like you started piloting things. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So, as I mentioned earlier, we had quite a bit of change as I came into the company, new leadership, but also the really moving from multiple ERPs to one ERP. And we're still on that roadmap, and we've just gone live with one of our large implementations within Europe. But going to a new ERP gave me the opportunity of basically quickly standing up a data governance council so that I could actually bring forth design decisions to be made across a various group of stakeholders across business, function, regions, rather than have these decisions made in silos for a particular group. So that was huge. Also implemented a lot of data standards, which then got configured within the system. So SKU standard, a SKU schema, putting in some validation rules up front, which would prevent the bad data from coming, actually looking at the architecture end to end and running that architecture by the council with the mindset of how do we reduce data hops. And so again, having that as a, it's an opportunity to really bring forth the data governance, and then also at the same time looking at the data quality pilot of how we could actually show how we can systemically monitor the data ongoing. And that also allowed me to really start to expand into tools, into some data management tools.
Yeah, and so that really, it kind of takes me to the next question. I'm going to just pivot it a little bit. So I was going to ask you what the core services were that were essential in establishing a robust data quality improvement program, but I want to pivot that question just a little bit and have you answer it from the perspective of if I'm listening to this interview and we are trying to get our arms around standing up a data governance program, and a data quality improvement initiative is first and foremost. What kind of organizational structuring and service model or catalog should I be pursuing first? So, what are my critical success factors at the top of that kind of an undertaking?
So I would say that sure, you want your data owners, you want all of your folks in line, but having a stewardship organization is probably, to me, the most important and is a dependency for data quality pilot success, because you need those data stewards to help in developing those data quality rules. And once you've exposed the errors, that's where oftentimes leadership will get on board, because otherwise it's sort of a gut feeling. I knew the data was bad, but I didn't know how bad, or actually, I thought the data was bad. It's not as bad as I thought it was. So the exposing of the errors will get you that leadership. But once you have that without stewards, then you're really dead in the water, because you need those stewards to cleanse the data, and ultimately help in that root cause analysis so that you can pivot from a find fix approach to how do we prevent data errors from entering.
Thank you for providing a glimpse into the approach that you've taken to establish a successful data governance program at BD. And I'd love to have you back again on the magazine. I think our listeners, viewers, and readers will be significantly blessed by what you've shared. So I expect
Thank
that this will be a
you.
popular interview out on our site. My name is Mark Johnson. I'm the editorial board chair for CDO Magazine. It's been my pleasure today to speak with Sara Willovit, who's Associate Director of Product Data Governance at BD, and actually a data governance innovator, I would say. BD's a med device manufacturer. To view other great interviews, please go to cdomagazine.tech and check out what we have posted out there. Sara, last word goes to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Mark, for having me on this. It was a real pleasure. I love talking about data. I love kind of the different angles, and I think data's just gotten so important lately. So it's really heartwarming to kind of see now how many people really see the value of our data asset.
Yeah, that's really true. CDO Magazine is now consumed in 176 countries around the world. And so it has gone in just 2 short years from nothing to being a global
Amazing.
force, as a voice. And it's because of people like you who share your wisdom. Thank you again so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day, Mark.